Dave, and this is a quick reading of Dr. Patrick Savage's article for the Ecology and Evolution website entitled Cooperation and Resilience from Music to Religion. Why do humans cooperate in massive societies of millions of unrelated individuals? Our analysis of 10,000 years of world history shows that religion has co-evolved with society to stabilize large-scale societies after they arise. Here I discuss how we did it, how my unlikely background as an ethnomusicologist led me to be involved in this study, and why music and religion might still hold the key to cooperation today, just as they did for our ancestors. So it's a very interesting introduction. He wants to explain why people get along, why they help each other and just don't fight all the time. And he believes that religion co-evolved with society to stabilize societies after they arose. So a large society will build itself up, and then as it's being built up, religion and music kind of co-evolve as it goes along to help people to get along. Little did I know when I first emailed a colleague back in 2011 to ask for advice about studying music in Japan, that this would begin a process that would lead to my taking up a position in anthropology at the University of Anthropology and publishing a paper in Nature on the coevolution of world religions and cooperative societies. In retrospect, however, the connection between music, religion, and cooperation was a natural one, and one that I intend to continue investigating now that I am leading my own lab at Keio University. For one of the most universal things about music is its power to bring us together, both by connecting humans with one another and by connecting humans with the supernatural world. Like many, I've loved music my whole life, since even before I could talk. My love of music began early. Such a cute photo. But it wasn't until age 18 when I joined Zombies, an a cappella group at Amherst College, that I first truly felt the incredible power of music to bond me with others. While fraternities and other groups, and in fact many religious rituals in small-scale societies, rely on harsh initiation ceremonies to bond their members, my initiation to the Zombies consisted of eating pizza and singing together through the night. It turned out that singing in harmony was all we needed to create interpersonal harmony. Even today, over a decade after we last sang together, these are some of my most treasured memories and remain my closest friends. And here is Pat in the center. Me with Pink Tie, performing with the Amherst College Zombies in 2007, a few months before placing third in the International Championship of Collegiate a cappella. At Amherst College, I majored in music, but at times I was also considering majoring in Japanese or biochemistry. I even did a summer undergraduate research internship synthesizing organic compounds trying to cure cancer. This is a very interesting and complicated poster that he made. He has a great sense of humor, so he's mentioning Teenage Mutant Ninja enzymes. I like how he brings humor even into very serious subjects of study. My first scientific poster based on my summer undergraduate biochemistry research internships in 2005. In 2007, when I was studying traditional music in Japan at the Amherst Doshisha Fellow, and started reading a book co-edited by neuroscientist Stephen Brown entitled The Origins of Music, it finally struck me that I could combine all of my interests by studying the science of the world's music. At the time, I felt like I stumbled into this realization purely by chance, but in retrospect, my meandering path was part of a broader trend toward interdisciplinary studies that blur the traditional boundaries between sciences and humanities. So blur, if you can't see something clearly, we say it is blurry. But sometimes two things are very different, and we say that there is science, and we say that there are humanities, things such as literature and music. And they're very distinctly different things. But he is saying they're kind of blurred. There's overlapping boundaries. You cannot always see the clear lines between the two. Over the next few years, I did graduate study both in psychology with Brown at McMaster University and ethnomusicology, the anthropology of music, with Yukio Uemura at the Tokyo University of the Arts. and helped me to understand the challenges of trying to quantify cross-cultural diversity in ways that wouldn't have been possible if I had only done experimental science or other ethnographic fieldwork. One of my most memorable experiences from my ethnomusicology fieldwork was of taking part in the annual Tanabata Festival in Rikuzen Takata, Iwate, Japan. I myself lived in Miyagi, which is not so far from Iwate. This festival had always had an important spiritual meaning connected to Japan's ancient Obon ritual, during which ancestral spirits are believed to return briefly to enjoy music, dancing, and merrymaking, not unlike the Dia de Muertos festival featured in Pixar's 2017 animated film Coco. But this meaning took on a terrible new significance in the aftermath of the devastating 2011 M9.0 earthquake and tsunami. Rikuzen Takata was one of the places most devastated. The entire city was effectively washed off the face of the earth in the space of under an hour. Thousands of people were killed. Those who survived had no homes or businesses to return to, and wondered whether there was any point in trying to rebuild. So he's talking the despair, the great sadness and feeling of loss and hopelessness that happens at the end of happens after a huge tragedy. I've been around a couple of tragedies in my life, unfortunately. I was in Taiwan in 1999, and there was a huge earthquake, and thousands of people died. And then I was in New York City during 9/11, when thousands of people died. And then I was in Japan during the 3/11 earthquake in 2011, when thousands of people died. So yeah, I was never as close as the people in Rikuzen Takata were, and thankfully I survived. But for people in such a place, it must be a horrible sense of loss and a feeling of futility. Futility means that there is no use in doing something, in rebuilding. One reason I really like this article is that he explains how music helps people find purpose when it seems futile, when it seems like there is no purpose. From the depths of despair, it was the city's ancient festivals that provided the survivors with the meaning and the opportunity to unite and rebuild. Through music, drumming, chanting, and pulling the decorated floats through the rubble where the city once was, the survivors came together to remember their ancestors, who had passed down these same traditions in this same town for hundreds of years, and their friends and family, who lost their lives trying to save the town. Through doing so, they reaffirmed their commitment to rebuilding the town and passing down its traditions and its lessons to future generations. Today, although not completely rebuilt, Rikuzen Takata is on the path to recovery, thanks in large part to the unifying power of music and communal rituals. So if we have a very old tradition, we say it was passed down through generations, through many, many generations. To reaffirm means to kind of restate a purpose of something. So to affirm something means to state that you think something is true, and to reaffirm means to restate that you think something is true. So they have to reaffirm their commitment to rebuilding their town. And there's the amazing Pat carrying a giant log with very enthusiastic and passionate Japanese people. The other members of the Kawara Festival team and I chant along with the drummers as we pull them through the remains of post-tsunami Rikuzen Takata, Iwate, Japan for their annual summer festival in 2013. Photo by Keo Sato. The Rikuzen Takata Festival was on my mind when I wrote a paper published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in 2015, arguing for the universal power of music to bring people together. And it was on my mind again when my co-author on that paper, Tom Curry, suggested that I should try to apply the statistical tools we had developed for analyzing cross-cultural musical diversity to a project he was involved with looking at the evolution of religion around the world, called the Seshat, Global History Data Bank. So he was trying to bring together two different things. When you do research, you sometimes synthesize different different types of information. You kind of bring them together and make them into a coherent whole. Coherent means one that you can understand. or can be understood. Seshat was founded by an unlikely combination of a complexity scientist, Peter Turchin, anthropologist, Harvey Whitehouse, and historian, Pieter François. This wildly ambitious project aimed to synthesize all of our vast but scattered knowledge about human history into a single standardized database to allow us to use science to understand general patterns in human history. Many scholars have proposed things like agriculture, warfare, or religion as driving factors in human history, but without a standardized database like Seshat to draw in, scholarly debate tends to involve both sides cherry-picking anecdotal examples that support their view with little resolution in sight. Cherry picking is a kind of interesting expression. It means to choose only things that seem to support your argument. We use it in basketball too. If someone stays in a good place and only shoots from the easy place, we could say they are cherry picking. It means getting the easy ones. I think because picking cherries is easier than picking some other fruit. So it means just picking the easy ones. So one thing I found particularly attractive about Seshat is that while some scientists have tried their hand at analyzing things like music and religion without close collaboration with specialists, Seshat was a truly interdisciplinary collaboration involving dozens of disciplinary experts at all levels of the research. Our first big paper from Seshat, published in PNAS, had over 50 co-authors. So interdisciplinary means going from different disciplines. For example, psychology, history, economics, and so on. So having 50 co-authors is very rare. It's quite interesting. Usually one or two, maybe 5, but 50 is a lot. By the time I joined, Seshat already contained a wealth of theory-informed data on ritual and religion with the aim of testing specific predictions pertaining to Harvey's modes of religiosity. Theory and other prominent theories about the relationship between religion and society. My colleagues Daniel Mullins and Daniel Hoyer had already sunk their teeth into the debate about whether there was a first millennial axial age in which new philosopher prophets like the Buddha, Plato, Confucius radically altered the trajectory of human social evolution. This is a very difficult thing that he's saying here. But to sink your teeth into means to really sincerely attempt to do something. If you sink your teeth into an apple, you're really taking a bite. You're really trying to eat that apple. And this idea of an axial age, I think it is saying that there was this point in time when a lot of very important people around the world, the Buddha in India, who then spread to Nepal, China, Japan, Korea, etc., Plato from ancient Greece and Confucius from China radically altered the trajectory of human social evolution. The trajectory means the angle at which you're going somewhere. So you can be going on a good trajectory, going to a good place. You can be going on a bad trajectory to a bad place. So this particular scholar had argued that this evolution, social evolution, made a better trajectory, I think, by having these characters come along, Buddha, Plato, and Confucius. After reading up and discussing with Harvey and Peter, we decided to focus our collaboration on the question of the historical relationship between big gods and complex societies, as this was becoming a hot topic in cultural evolution. Hot topic means a popular thing to study and talk about. After beginning a postdoc position in Oxford School of Anthropology and Museum ethnography supervised by Harvey and Peter, I dived into the literature on what was suddenly my new responsibility, religion and social complexity throughout world history. I had a lot of catching up to do. So he was taking on a really big topic, and he had to do a lot of reading. Fortunately, I didn't have to do it on my own. In addition to my supervisors, Seshat already had a vast team of regional specialists, postdocs. So a postdoc is someone after their doctorate, after the highest academic degree. Sometimes they cannot become a professor right away. So there's a special position in the university called a postdoc, where you're a research helper with a doctorate. Post-graduation, doctorate holder, postdoc. And research assistants who had been steadily assembling this information over the past few years. During my first trip to Oxford in February 2017, I got to see firsthand how this information all came together. We invited experts on ancient religion from all over the world to meet face-to-face with our team and help navigate the huge complications involved in trying to answer questions like, what was the most frequent ritual in 500 BCE Rome? Or what types of behaviors were believed to be supernaturally punished in 2800 BCE Egypt? Respective answers, daily sacrifices by Vestal virgins, and things like cheating the violated Mat order. So he's explaining what the answer to this question and the answer to this question was in those periods. Or actually, this question, what was the most frequent ritual and what types of behavior were supernaturally punished? A few months later, I organized a similar workshop at the University of Tokyo where we got to hear still more perspectives from world experts. The research assistants, Harvey, Peter, and I continued to communicate closely with these and other experts by email and Skype as we tried to be certain that we had documented both our current understanding of beliefs in big gods and the degree of uncertainty in such beliefs to the best of our current understanding. Professor Vesna Wallace meets with Seshat research assistant Agatha Dupremont at the University of Oxford in February 2017 to discuss ancient Buddhism. Okay. Once all the data was finally ready to be analyzed, it was my job to crunch the numbers. Crunch the numbers is a great expression. It means to do the statistical analyses necessary. Once again, I didn't have to do this on my own, as Peter Turchin and Tom Curry had been working for some time on models for analyzing Seshat data. As I neared publication, I had a quick trial by fire in which I had a week to figure out what the heck was going on in Peter's massive screed of R code for quantifying social complexity for what became our PNAS paper, and ADEPT is to do various bootstrapping and reanalyses to ensure that our analyses were robust to all conceivable sources of bias or autocorrelation. After that, I had to figure out how to build on this code to test for historical relationships between moralizing gods and complex societies, which came first. Okay, so this is a very difficult paragraph. And to appreciate this article, you don't have to understand everything. I do not know what screed code is, and the analyses he's talking about, I don't understand at all. It is not my field. But he uses very interesting terms that are very useful in English. Yeah, a quick trial by fire means a very stressful and difficult period where you will get burned as you do it, but you will learn through the difficulty of the action. Oh, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Don't sneeze, I'm almost done. Okay, so please don't worry too much about this paragraph, but just he was analyzing this giant bit of data using very scientific methods to try to find some purpose, some connectivity in all of the information. As it turned out, the surprising answer was that complex societies consistently preceded moralizing gods throughout world history. So complex societies came before the belief in giant moralizing gods. This contradicted much of the prevailing wisdom that moralizing gods were a causal factor during the initial rise of complex societies. So what came first, societies or the gods that people believe in? So the prevailing wisdom, prevailing wisdom means what people believed before, was that first come the belief in gods and then people build the great cities and great societies. But his investigation seems to imply that the cities came first and then people developed the belief in the gods. The review process at Nature was extremely rigorous, and in the process I reran what felt like every conceivable reanalysis possible. No matter how I did it, the societies always tended to grow at least twice as fast on average before the appearance of moralizing gods, not after. So they grew faster before they had these gods who people believed in, and had people believed in rules set by those gods that would set the society, set the path of the society, set the morality of the society. In the paper, we tried to explore whether ritual beliefs might have played a stronger role in this initial rise of social complexity, as Harvey's modes of religiosity theory predicted. But although we found some suggestive evidence for the deep roots of standardized doctrinal rituals, our analyses were inconclusive. To me, it suggested that while religion clearly is co-evolving with society to stabilizing increasingly complex societies, it doesn't seem to be sufficient by itself to explain the initial rise of complex societies. I have my own pet theory about the role of music and dance in facilitating cooperation. Facilitating means making easier. But there are also more mainstream theories about things like agriculture and warfare that are easier to capture in the historical record. Stay tuned for more on this topic over the next few years as we continue to use science to answer big questions about human history. As for my experiences with the Rikuzen Takata festival show, the deep connections between art, religion, and society are still as important today as they were to our ancestors thousands of years ago. I hope that by providing scientific evidence to demonstrate the power of things like music and religion, we can help make the world a better place by informing policy and funding for things like reducing violence by and toward religious groups and encouraging investment in arts education and community festivals. This research received core funding from the UK's Economic and Social Research Council, ESRC, the John Templeton Foundation, the European Research Council, ERC, and the European Union Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Program. So it's a very complex article. Please don't worry about not understanding everything. But he talks about how he became interested in music, how he became interested in religion and the development of society, and how he came to believe that music and dance may have had a huge impact, a huge effect on the development of societies, and how they have this huge database of information, this huge collection of information that they are trying to analyze in a very, very specific and particular way. I hope that this video helps just a little bit. Whoops, that looks better before. Maybe this is better. I didn't go through all the words, but I think hearing it read and hearing me comment on it might help you understand it a little bit more. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye.